Welcome back, everybody. It's Cape Rugby TV. We carry on talking about what's happening in the world of Western Province Club Rugby. And as you hear us say, week after week, it's COVID, and we're waiting for good news, and we're waiting for good news. Well, there is certainly some good news on the cards for the universities who have really had to wait. And of course, considering that it's educational as well and that it's a tertiary institution, even more regulations apply. On the line with me now is the Director of Rugby at UCT. I've still got to get used to these titles. Johnny Biderman-Pam. Johnny, welcome back to Cape Rugby TV, or shall I say welcome?
Thank you, JP. Good to see you and good to be in touch with all the listeners.
Yeah, Johnny, it's the first time for us to have you on the show. In fact, I had to rewind a little bit to think who all from UCT has been here, and we've been talking about Varsity Cup and Varsity Shield for so long now. Do we have some information? Is the Varsity Cup on? Are the UCT students able to practice?
Well, yeah, the good news is that SARU have, through Yuri Roo, as chairman of the board of Varsity Cup, and all the Varsity Cup delegates have decided that Varsity Cup can go ahead this year, notwithstanding any crisis.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're looking forward to it, and we have started training at City Park thanks to Danny Jones and Faisal Fenton of Province, because UCT is not open itself. So we're not back at the Green Mile, but we're back big time.
Johnny, we spoke last week to Paul True at UWC, and the week before that we spoke to Alistair Tace at CPUT. And then last year, of course, we had Drickus Hunker from Stellenbosch University on the line, or shall I say last year, Drickus Hunker, head coach of Stellenbosch University. And the same conversation comes up when it comes to students, is of course the fact that you are dependent on students studying and continuing their studies. Have you managed to keep the same players? I mean, if we think about it, they really only had a chance to play almost a year ago.
Yeah, no, that's a critical point. And we kept our academic support programs going last year. So all our under-20s, all our first team players actually passed. They got their credits to be compliant to play Varsity Cup, and they did pretty well. So yeah, we worked hard with them, because for them it was really difficult not being able to do exercise and not being able to play. But we've, besides a couple of guys that have graduated, we've got a lot of new in, and we haven't lost many players at all.
That's probably some of the best news
that we've heard in a long time.
Yes, because the problem was that when they heard they're going to play in a bio bubble, they believed that meant that they could be bubble us all the time, and therefore they decided to carry on studying with us.
I've got to ask you about the students. Of course, are they're used to going to gym. Of course, it's part of the supplementary training to any university sport, or at least to any rugby. How and considering that your gym is also on the campus itself, how have you guys been able to or manage get around that sort of the conditioning and training, and that? Have you found solutions for that?
Yeah, well, actually, although there is a gym on the campus, it's lit. So we've been working for the last few years, the last 10 years, at the Sports Science Institute in Newlands, next to Newlands. For them, it was difficult to take us back, because then they couldn't have any other members. So a new gym emerged in Claremont called Ignite, and a fabulous gym, and a very modern, very new, and we've linked up with them, and they've been phenomenal, because sort of we take precedence over everyone else. So the guys have been working. You know, it's hard to work on one's own, but they've learned to do it, and they do it.
But that is fantastic news to know that the players are able to see each other, train together. I'm assuming that also from a COVID perspective, they've got all the regulations, and are they starting to adjust? Training is completely different now. Socializing is completely different.
Right, and testing is critical.
Right.
Before any contact return to play protocols happen. But I think, JP, what worked for us, and there have been cases of COVID in the last few months when we were and when we weren't playing, was that we took the philosophy of the game that we love, and you play the game at this level for your mate next door. And once they got that, that COVID was, you had to be, you couldn't go out on the town because the guy, your mate, may have a granny staying with him or something. And when they understood that philosophy, things really changed. So we took the philosophy of rugby and installed it into our COVID protocol.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's what actually we've been witnessing for the last year is this rugby camaraderie. We've seen clubs really galvanize their management and their players and communicating with each other under what we know is extraordinarily difficult circumstances. But the call it the spirit of rugby, the spirit of what some refer to here as the spirit of Ubuntu has really come into play.
Without a doubt, yeah, without a doubt, and we feel very confident that that the guys are difficult, right? Because what do? The university only starts on the 15th of March. They have come back to Cape Town. Who do they hang around with? So it's asking a lot, but now that the tournament's on, I think they're committed.
So one of the things we've been talking about in the last few weeks is derbies. And we put this on Facebook a few weeks ago, and we asked people what do they think is their biggest derby, or their favorite club derby. And we just got hundreds of posts of different derbies and clubs talking about their historical derbies and the favorite team that they like to play against. I'm assuming that if I ask someone from UCT, what is your biggest derby, they're going to say it's Marty's.
I would agree with that, but in the last 10 years or so, UWs have become very good friends and foes of ours, and we have planned. Chester always loved playing UCT. To beat UCT for him was bigger than any other match. And UWC have come with a proposal, which we've accepted, to play for the Chester Williams Memorial Trophy starting this year. And so I would say UWs is going to be a huge derby for us going forward.
Wow.
The Martys, yes, always.
I've got goosebumps listening to you tell the story. That's incredible news to think about that. What could come from that, and living up to these legacies. That's fantastic. So we've got a new derby on the cards then. Well, although we know that it's always been hammer and tongs between the universities. No one's holding back, and those are always big games. Do we know yet when your first friendly or first fixture might be for Varsity Cup?
Our friendlies are probably, if Saru allow it, and they're still coming back to us, is at the beginning of March, about the 17th of March, and we'll be playing both the Martys and UWs, and maybe have a couple of chuckers against Province, but that is difficult in terms of protocols, and we still got to wait for that. And then UCT Cup, in essence, starts in Pretoria. Will be at the University of Pretoria in the Bible.
Johnny, we'll leave it at that. It's great chatting with you. It's fantastic to know that someone is starting to, well, hopefully soon throw the ball around a little bit and put their boots on, which is what they love to do.
Yeah, thank you, JP, and thanks for your weekly show. Inspires us. Looking forward to have Danny Jones on again. He's my favorite celeb.
Absolutely. We have to get him online, definitely. Johnny, we'll leave it at that. And thanks. And of course, we pass our best to the players and management. And we say to you guys, of course, so I'm sure we'll be talking to you a lot in the next few weeks. But stay safe and healthy out there.
Thank you, JP. All the best.
There we go, folks. Johnny Biderman-Pam, the head of I keep saying it, head of rugby, but director of rugby at UCT, and that's great news. boys are putting their boots back on, and they're training hard, and they're looking after each other, and that's really what we know rugby can do. Folks, we'll take an ad break. When we come back from the break, we carry on talking about rugby in Western Province. Back in a sec.